All right, so I wanted to start with this particular setup because this is a great example of less is more. So I sat down with the DP during camera tests, makeup, wardrobe um, tests, and after talking about the show, the era of the show, the period of the show, we came up with kind of a generic show lot from which to start with, which would be kind of a little bit of a film print emulation along with a sort of custom contrast curve that I've developed over the last couple of years or so. So we did that. We came up with some general color approaches that we liked, kind of wrapped that into a new LUT, concatenated that all together, and that became our show LUT to go from log C in this case to Rec 709. And that ends up putting us there. Generally, my approach is to start with kind of a generic show LUT. There's also a number of LUTs that I have that might be a hybrid, that generic plus a little bit of film emulation. So I have varying degrees of that. So pure film emulation all the way to a vanilla show LUT and percentages therein. So I can kind of mix and match. And I decide, or I kind of figure out which one I think is appropriate based on the show. If it's a sort of a modern day show, maybe the sort of feeling that we have with film might be of something in the past, for example. So those are the kinds of things that I use to kind of direct me which way to go. This show that we've loaded as a DRT, display rendering transform. In this case, it's specifically a family DRT, and what that really means is, in sort of base-like parlance, is film-like parlance, is that it's a DRT, but it's a family DRT, so it's the input is known, and the output would be known. So the input is log C, applies the transformation to get you to any display. So if it's Rec 709, or if it's SD2084 for HDR, or if it's P3, or if it's DCI P3, or if it's XYZ for theatrical. The same DRT can be used for all of these various outputs. That's why they call it a family of outputs, family DRT. All the stuff comes in, area log C wide gamut, stays in the same for a working color space, goes to that family DRT, and then the DRT is not being used because our viewing and input are the same. So we're just looking at the log C footage untouched. The second I activate whatever display that I'm looking for, in this case, Rec 709, it activates the DRT, the appropriate one, and it puts us where we need to be for our starting place. At that point, we get into the grade and we start doing our deal. Right? My working color space is log C wide gamut, and I just picked that because it's the one I'm most familiar with, the feel of it, the controls, everything. I'm just used to that. Typically, you're working on a show now that has at least 2 or 3 cameras, not uncommon. But I'll almost always work in log C wide gamut. So even if most of the footage is Sony Venice, I'll still go everything into log C wide gamut, which is my working color space. There's a handy thing with Filmlight, which is their color space journey, which helps just kind of verify that you're in the green, you're not in the red. Everything is kind of marching through in terms of you're coming in log C, it's being converted by this particular DRT to this particular color space display. When you're doing something wrong, if, for example, I decide to turn that DRT off for whatever reason, now you get all kinds of other stuff. You should probably use a DRT, blah, blah, blah. So it can be a good sanity check in case you're getting results you don't expect. You can kind of use that as a way to check yourself. It happens late at night, right? Use the DRT we want. Everything snaps, everyone's happy, all greens, we're good to go.